Hey, this is Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop. Welcome to the Outlaw Point Series JDC Roll-Off Drags, Week 4, Round 2. With only a few rounds left, here's what we got. We got Rob in first place, Gene, J4 Racing, Wastelands, Flying Valiant, Chris, and we got a lot of 15s and 16s and some 12s. All are contenders that are still in this race. Cars are lined up. We're ready to go. Every point matters at this point because the top 8 go on to the JDC Sweet 16, which is my top 8 and Jay's top 8 squaring off, and that should be pretty interesting. And I know Jay's working on a lot of different things to really spice things up. He's been working on it for a couple months in between everything else that's going on in life, so looking forward to that. But anyways, we got the 71 Mustang, ZELDA DIECAST, and OG Mikey in the Camaro. They are the first ones down the track, so I don't envy these guys. You never know what you're going to get, and all the other races are watching you to see how the track's going to react, because most of them kind of have a good idea what you have for your setup. So they're pretty much evenly spaced here. I like the fact that the track seems to be decent on both sides, but the Camaro takes a little bit of an advantage towards the end, which is where you want it. But the Mustang is not done. That Mustang has been fairly consistent. Not a winner per se, but he's definitely been making laps. But on this one, the Camaro takes the win. We got our points leader, Rob FURROW, versus Chris Welch in the GTO. The GTO has been struggling, but is starting to pick up a little bit. Finally made a round and looks to be fairly strong in the last round, but he's got off to a little bit of a slow start. Nobody wants Rob to get any more points. If they could sabotage him, they would, but he's already jumping out to a 3-car length gap right out of the bat, and that's not looking good for the rest of the field to have any hope of trying to catch him. But the right lane does come up a little bit. Chris has found a little bit of speed, but it seems to be very sporadic because he's not hooking up the way he wants to. He's pedaling the car. A lot of you can hear the throttle trigger. Not really sure what's going on. He makes a last gasp, but it's too late, and Rob takes a win and gets another 3 points. Now we got Mike ESPO versus Eddie Bennett. Again, both cars have been very good and consistent. Eddie in the GMC Cyclone in the right lane, and Mike in the 55 Gasser. So the right lane is always the red dice, the left lane is always the purple dice. You roll a 1 or a 2, you move 1 spot. 3 or 4, you move 2. 5 or a 6, you move 3. So, and again, I know a lot of that, as this whole thing progresses, is going to change. But either way, right now they are very evenly matched. Both cars are going down fairly, I'd say fairly even, but the 55 takes a little bit of a lead going into the final aspect of the track. There's only 1 spot left, and the right lane is going to take it because he rolls a 6, taking the win. Chevyland TV versus Rick Marshall. Rick Marshall and that Viper hasn't been getting a lot of love from the crowd, but put up or shut up. A lot of times these guys don't really care. You run what you brung, and you race with it. And the Viper has been pretty stout as of late. They both come out evenly matched. They're both rolling almost identical, which is good because that means the burnout box is nice and sticky, and these guys are getting good traction, not spinning out of the gate. But the right lane begins to take a little bit of a lead. That Buick Grand Sport has got some low-end torque, and it's showing, but the top end of that Viper is starting to come into play. Hopefully it's not too late, but it looks like he's got now a 1-car length to make up. It rolls a high number, but so does the Buick Grand Sport, so it's all for naught because he's 1 away, and he will take the win. Next up is COOTER'S Speed Shop versus Gene. COOTER'S driving my 66 Nova, and Gene is driving the Barracuda. And Gene is another car that has been very consistent throughout all 4 weeks, making making good passes, and getting points. And that's what's important. And you can be in the top 8 and not have obviously won anything overall, and still be on your way down to Jay's track. And once again, the Barracuda seems to be just hooking up. It's one of those cars that once you got it in that rear window. Leaves a little bit of lightness in the rear end, and that's what you want to a certain degree, but you want it to hook up, and he's definitely hooking up, and he's going to take it at the end. Flying Valiant versus Southpaw Diecast. Flying Valiant's been pretty consistent throughout this entire series. Monte Carlo's been having some problems, but as of late, he's been coming on strong. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to get him into the top 8, but it's always good to have your car dialed and tuned in and happy and not bouncing around all over the place and losing grip going into whatever comes next, because you never know. So the Challenger's got a 1 car length advantage at half track. The Monte Carlo seems to be struggling just a little bit, got a little bit loose. You can hear him pedaling it, and the Challenger is just saying, I'm out of here. You can play around with your throttle. I'm going, and I will be out of your life here in 1 second. And with a great roll right at the end, but it's a little too late because the Challenger crosses the finish line first. Next up, we got Full Custom Diecast, excuse me, versus J4 Racing in the AMC Javelin, which is one of the first customs I ever built on this channel. And it was the only AMC aside from a Gremlin that I had, so he ended up with that one. The Nova with the Flames has been, if there's a participation trophy, it would be for him, because he's been working on this thing nonstop. His Instagram posts, if you follow him on Instagram, things always in the garage, so hopefully his changes make a difference. But the Javelin has been consistent, and he should end up in the top 8 when this thing is all said and done. And doesn't look like this race is going too well for him. That Nova is hooked. That's the great thing about Novas with those wheelbases and the weight distribution. You know, it's once they're hooked, man. And it's going to be the Nova for the win at the finish line. Next up, we got SRS Diecast versus Chris Gibbs. Chevelle versus Dart. I love both these cars. Chris is a good friend of mine. He's into the RC racing. I race with him locally here. And he signed up, and he wanted a Dodge Dart. He got a Dodge Dart. But the Chevelle is pretty much taken off. He hooked up quick. He's rolling high numbers. The Dart seems to be struggling just a little bit. He's 1 car length behind. And the Chevelle just keeps putting a little bit of space. I'm not sure what's going on with the Dart. You can hear it. It's running great. He's not misfiring, but I think he's having a hard time with traction. Already totally took a stab at the setup. And a lot of these guys are swinging for the fence. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And, you know, this is the final race of the season for this point series. And the Chevelle will take the win moving on to the next round, even though the Dart came on strong at the end. So here's your points. You got Rob, Gene, Flying Valiant, J4 Racing, Wastelands Raceway, Eddie Bennett, Chris Gibbs, and Rick Marshall with 315 point behind them, and then some 12s. So this is coming down to the wire. We've got a few more rounds left. We got round 3, the semis, and the final, and that is it. So this could be anybody's game at this point to reach into the top 8. I don't think anybody's got anything for Rob Furrow, but it is possible. And other than that, I will catch you for the finals of week 4. Once again, I want to thank Jay for allowing me to host the Roll Off Drag Racing Series. I will catch you on the next round.